Today we are going to be transferring our design that we created on the back of our radial project to the front, along with expanding it around the complete circle. So to begin with, you should have completed your design in pencil, no value shading, just a rough outline. You're going to need that. You're going to need a piece of translucent paper. So this is a piece of paper that was supplied in your art kit, as well as a pencil. So to begin with, I'm going to just kind of cut a little section since I don't need this giant piece. I'm just going to cut that off. That'll just make it easier to work with. The first thing we need to do is transfer this design onto our piece of translucent paper. So to do so, I'm going to line this up on top. You'll notice as you kind of press down on the paper, you can see exactly all of the detail that you added in your drawing. So you are going to be transferring your whole drawing over. For time's sake, today I'm just going to be transferring parts of it so you guys get a rough idea. The design I chose for this nature-themed project is more tree top themed, so I have on the bottom here, this eventually will hopefully look like the rings of a tree after I transfer it onto the front. And so we have different rings going on. I have a hawk's claw, which I will be transferring next. So in order to transfer our image, I'm going to be drawing directly on top of the lines that I have created. And we will continue to do this. I'm not going to add all of the detail for time's sake today, but just so you guys get a rough outline of what we are going to be doing and working on. So as you guys are doing this, make sure you're spending more time than I am. I'm just kind of doing this fast so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so we have that. Eventually I'd go through and add all of this. I'm going to add this bottom detail here. So what's going to make it easy for lining up our different triangles as I transfer it to the other side is making sure I have details on all my corners done. And that will just allow me to transfer my design a little bit faster. So for today's sake, I'm only going to do this much. You would transfer your whole entire design. So on my piece of translucent paper, this is what I have. For our project, so our original we did on the back. So I'm going to be flipping this over. And on the front, you should have a completely blank slate to work with. So let's see. I'm going to start in this corner. So as you are lining up your design, you are going to be starting with a corner. So always kind of looking in. I know that this was about here because that's where I had my edge lined up and it was going towards the middle. So what I am going to double check when I have my design laid down is kind of think about your design as a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So originally when I was tracing it, I was drawing on this front side. So if this is a piece of bread, I just applied peanut butter right here. I just applied peanut butter to the top. So in order to have this pencil or this peanut butter transfer over to our drawing on this side, I need to put my side that has my pencil directly on top or my peanut butter face down. So that way the image transfers. And you'll notice, you can tell to begin with, this side is lighter because it doesn't have that pencil directly on top compared to this. So just for the first time, we need to make sure our pencil side is face down so that our image transfers. So we'll start this way. Doesn't really matter. Move some things out of the way. But I'm going to be lining up my paper so that way my design is touching the corners and it's pointing inwards towards the middle. So this is what we are trying to achieve. It's pointing in towards the middle. So in order to get this image to transfer directly over, I need to press on top of the lines that I have already created, and that pressure will transfer the pencil onto this piece of paper. So I'm going to be going through and pressing directly on top of the lines that I just created and tracing those marks. I'm pressing hard, but not too hard. I don't want to rip the paper, just enough where I know that image is transferring. So anything that I don't draw directly on top of will not get transferred. So for instance, if I just kind of pull this up, you can now see that that image has transferred onto the white piece of paper. So I'm just going to complete this really fast so that way we can see the rest and talk about what we are going to be doing as we are working around our radial design. So that line I kind of veered off of, so I need to make sure I go back and press on top of the pencil that was already there. You'll notice my other hand doesn't really move. I want to make sure that this paper stays in place so that my design does not alter. So you would transfer your whole design over. For time's sake, I might skip a little bit of the detail in here, just as I did on the other side, but so we can get a rough image of what this is going to look like. So once again, if I don't go back and add all of these little details on the knuckles, they won't transfer. So make sure you are going through and adding all of that detail and pressing that so that way you get that image transferred. So for time's sake, I'm going to skip the rest, but you're going to do your whole entire design. So as you can see, that image is now transferred onto this piece of paper. So as I'm going around the circle, since this is a radial project, we're going to be doing our whole page. I'm going to be flipping my paper. So this is going to allow this image to transfer over. If I just slid it this way, I would lose some of this image over here. So by having it lined up over here, flipping it, and now that I have pencil on both sides, it doesn't matter. I have everything kind of pre-lined. So I'm going to line up exactly how I want it, whether that is with this edge touching the paper, whether it's if you have an image that is going to be kind of a mirrored or connecting on both sides. However you need to and want to have that lined up is up to you. I think that looks pretty good for my sake. So I'm going to, once again, I'm holding this down. I'm going to go ahead and start transferring, pressing directly on top of those lines that I have already drawn, and that will transfer that pencil onto that piece of paper. As you can kind of see. So I may need to go back through eventually after my design is completely done and connect these. That is perfectly fine. But you're going to be going through, transferring all of your designs over. And as you do each time, you're flipping your paper so that way you have that design repeated over and over and over again. So as you can see, that's now transferred. So I would just have to go through and transfer my claw. I'm just going to do the rough outline so you guys can see, and then move on to the next. Once again, each time you do this, you would be working and making sure all of that detail that you originally planned in your design is transferred over. So now that claw is starting to go. Once again, after I'm done here, I'm going to flip that paper so it's lined up this way. I'm now flipping it, and it will fill this box, and I would make my way around the whole entire piece of paper. So that is how your radial design outline will start. By the end of this, you will have your design in all 8 of these triangles. So all of the triangles that we originally drew on this side, on your front, will be covered with your design. Can't wait to see what you guys make. If you have any questions, let me know.